Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to today's Reddit Quickie from the subreddit HFY, called Billy Bob Space Trucker, Chapter 13. Written by Legal. The link to the original will be down below, and as always, I hope that you enjoy. Dr. Goldsmith shook his head slowly as he looked over the data that he'd obtained by scanning Billy Bob. These Americans were crazy. The density, their composition. He found no less than 6 chemicals or elements in their makeup that would kill most species. Their levels of sodium were off the charts, and he couldn't believe how much alcohol their bodies seemed ready to process. 2 or 3% alcohol solutions were more than enough to get many species drunk. But according to his research, American alcoholic beverages didn't start until something like 4 to 5%. Not only that, but they were carbonated. Sure, libertarians like Emily had a high tolerance as well, so it wasn't unique, but it was certainly rare. The fact that they had so many drinks over 50% alcohol was unheard of. He was preparing a report to send to the Greater Black Market Network that was run by his people, the Banketeers, when he was interrupted by a nurse. "Dr. Goldsmith, you need to come and deal with this." He got up and hurriedly scurrying after the nurse to find Vikesh standing in the waiting room of the clinic. His face looked scared, but he clearly had been treated by some biogel. He had a weapon in his hand and a military-grade shield belt. His bearings marked that with one of the clan that assaulted the station, but he didn't look threatening. Instead, he looked worried. "What's this all about?" The Vikesh snapped to attention then. "My life has been stabbed by the great Billy Bob. He has seen fit to save me from the third death ball mittens. He has tasked me with serving the station as a protector and a guardian until the end of my days." He pursed his lips and looked at the Dr. Goldsmith, and then something would happen. The Goldsmith looked around the room and then back. "Well, what do you want from me?" The Vikesh looked a little nervous. "I was hoping that you could tell me how to do that. I was just a private. My kin have fled. The guards told me that you've been seeing to the great Billy Bob." The Dr. Goldsmith blinked for a moment. "He didn't tell you what to do, only that I guard and protect this place with my life. I owe him a true Vikesh soul debt, and I must keep it." The Goldsmith blinked once more. Billy Bob had gotten a Vikesh to swear a soul debt and abandoned search for his battle brothers. Was there no end to the amazing things that this human could accomplish? He must have truly some sort of elite warrior or a pilot of his people. He smiled at the Vikesh. "Yes, come with me. We'll get you set up in Central." The Vikesh visibly sagged with relief as he bowed his horns in thanks. "I will not disappoint the great Billy Bob." Goldsmith just smiled, leading the Vikesh along behind him as they walked into the Central Command Station. They were cleaning up the still, especially since the CEO had been killed by that evil, what had Billy Bob called it? An evil space clown? Having done a bit of research into humanity, that term did seem appropriate, but it was just confused him why humans had such terrifying children's entertainers. Either way, the 4 armed insurrectionists, who the Banketeers hired as guards, fluttered a little in the presence of a Vikesh, clutching their energy weapons, but Goldsmith waved them down and rode the elevator up to the new charge. As he stepped out into the command center, he could see the remaining board of operators that had assembled to fill the positions on the station left by the dead kin. But they weren't in a frenzy to vote at the moment. They were huddled around a communications terminal. "What's going on?" he asked as he approached. "Bad news, Doctor. Galactic Secret Services here." "What? Crusticans? Why?" "They've issued a level 1 warrant for the arrest of a terrorist that they think is on our station." "Well, just hand them over. We don't want trouble with them." "That's the problem. They don't want a normal client, or even one of our own." Goldsmith gulped, fearing that he knew what was next, but he had to ask. "Then who do they want?" "They've ordered the arrest and capture of Billy Bob, Space Trucker." There was a little chime in the cabin as Billy Bob looked up at the calendar and laughed. "Oh, damn! Look at that! It's Arcanist Day! Emily, grab me a beer. Got to celebrate." Emily arched a brow and walked back to the fridge, returning with 2 beers. Bullybog cracked his open and laughed, lifting it up as he said, "Humanity! Freck yeah!" And then he began to drink. Emily, on the other hand, just chuckled and quickly opened her tab while biting the end of the can to slurp it dry. "What's this about?" she asked after crushing the can against her skull. "Oh, it's Arcanist Day back on Earth. Some old human leader rallied a bunch of people around that cry as we started our first steps into colonizing our solar system." She nodded. "We celebrate with a drink? Well, I gotta keep driving. Normally we celebrate with getting drunk." "What about other human holidays?" The next one we dress up, eat candy, and get drunk. And the Vets Day, where we celebrate soldiers by drinking and grilling stuff. After that, we get together with family and have a feast and get drunk. After that, we get together with family again, exchange presents, and get drunk. Then, it's getting drunk to celebrate the New Year. Then, we get drunk with people that we want to freck and eat chocolate. Then, we grill meat and get drunk to celebrate the presidents. Oh damn. Then it's the week of getting drunk because voodoo and Narlands. Lots of boobs for that one. Then, we get drunk because of Ireland. Then we get up early, have a nice brunch and get a little drunk while eating chocolate eggs. He nodded for a moment and looked thoughtful, trying to remember everything. Then we get drunk, Mexican style, of course, for some reason. 'Cause we want to mostly. Something about France, maybe. Then we have Memorial's Day, where we remember those who fought and died for us. More serious, but drinking is often involved. Then we have a day celebrating how awesome our flag is. Drinking not required, but again, often involved. He perked up and looked even more excited. Oh, and then the biggest, bestest day of them all, Independence Day. We explode stuff, drink, grill meat, and generally spend the week in a blur of celebration. He rubbed his chin. Is that it? No. We also have a day to celebrate working by not working, and instead of getting drunk and grilling stuff. He nodded slowly. I think that's all of them. You get drunk for all your holidays. Yeah, mostly. Of course, I'm leaving out the sports-related holidays, 'cause not everyone gets involved in those. We used to have one to celebrate the guy who found America, but it turns out, while awesome in some senses, he was a jerk in others, so we decided to drop it in favor of National Pizza Day. Which is pretty awesome too, if you ask me. Emily blinked, having no idea just how much the Americans apparently drank. While her people had high tolerance overall, if they drank that much, their bodies wouldn't be able to handle it. Maybe Earth years were more spread out. She'd have to look into it. Overall, the trip with Billy Bob heading his cargo delivery planet was pretty smooth once they left the station. Emily would sleep every few hours, and Billy Bob would listen to his music. Then, when he needed to sleep, he'd pull off and take a nap, as she listened to music and then switch off again. Once he was up and they were just 4 hours away from the planet, she had been listening to quite a bit of human music. So, this person was a monarch of popular. No, the king of pop isn't like that an official title. He was just a great musician and dancer. He wasn't really royalty. We used the term now and then. Before him was Elvis. He wasn't a monarch either. No, he was another great musician. Farted himself to death one day, I think. Emily blinked at that. And the other one? Well, Jackson. We don't know. What do you mean? Decades ago, someone wiped out all the records about his life after the year 1990. Probably died, and they didn't like how it ended up, or something. I don't know. So, were they ruled over by this, Pope of Parody? Who? Weird Al. No, again, not a real title. Just a funny guy with a great musician. Why do you keep giving such titles to musicians? We like them? I don't know. We give titles to everyone we think deserves one. They don't mean anything, just sort of, look, like we like titles, okay? She shrugged it off then, and figured that she'd just have to understand the Americans better. The rest of the trip to Lynae 3 was uneventful. They had a quiet little agri-world, and Billy Bob brought a longhorn down into the planet's atmosphere. Emily pulled her mask and hood back on to keep the people from recognizing a libertarian, but the galaxy wasn't aware that they needed to be afraid of Americans yet, so Billy Bob was all right. They landed in the clearing that he'd been guided to by his contact, but they didn't see any signs of a town or many buildings. Either way, the planet was only half normal Earth, so he began to unload the crates from the Longhorn with minimal effort. It was a typical agri-world. No involved natural animals bigger than his pinky. Just plants, lots and lots of plants. The colony was supposed to be near a mountain, which some forested area, and then a massive rolling plains of weeds. Or maybe they weren't actually weeds, but they looked like space weeds to him. Are you sure that you should unload that? You don't know if they're still alive. Emily asked as he started to move the crates, even though they hadn't contacted the colonists. I was paid to deliver this stuff to the spot. Not my fault if they're too dead to collect. He grunted as he was about half done unloading. Emily sat on top of the pile of crates, looking around the area while Billy Bob finished. When the last box was out, he smiled and brushed his hands. Well, now to go find them. I think I see smoke of some sort that way, she said, pointing towards the base of the nearby hills. They walked through the trees, and Billy Bob noticed that he didn't hear any birds or insects, which seemed wrong. To a human, that meant something evil, or a big hungry was close, but some angry worlds just didn't have those sorts of animals. They came with these trees in a clearing of what looked like basic tents and low-level shelters. The creatures were humanoid and had shaggy hair, with long snouts ending in what looked like unkempt bears. They were wearing very basic clothes and, in the general, looked nothing like the colonists that he was used to. They had long eyes and stalks that turned his way as he approached. I don't like this, their eyes are so red, and this place smells. Oh, you're familiar with the Halterchums. They're very peaceful herbivores, live with nature, very little impact and all that. Billy Bob growled, Space hippies. He pointed at one they were walking towards. You! I delivered your stuff, pay me so that I can get away from your jobless dirty freaks. Whoa, man, that's some really harsh language, man. You're harshing my buzz. Billy Bob growled at the creature as it scurried away. Just go and let the peace mother and father in the cave. Billy Bob glared at the space hippie and walked towards the cave that he saw past the settlement. He wanted to stomp, but in this gravity he'd go flying. Once they were inside, he saw two older, fatter space hippies who smelled worse than the rest. Oh, you're the one who brought our cargo. Thank you so much. May the stupid hippie god of peace bless you. Like, your aura's so kind. Yeah. No. Where's my payment? What? Oh, right. The slightest, less fat, but smaller of the two, he couldn't tell the males and females apart. Led them deeper into the cave. He saw the first sign of civilization, as they had some sort of metal cage around day. He looked at it closely. It looked like some sort of six-legged space fox, with two sets of ears and the size of a German shepherd. It had a bright orange coat with a black, long as feet and ears. He already had space foxes in his translator. Damn, space cat dog. That would work. The thing looked depressed. This is our space cat dog. We bought it here to let it live a clean, vegetarian lifestyle with us. But space cat dogs are carnivores, Emily said from behind him. We think that we can break them from the bad habit. The space hippie said. You people make me sick. Billy Bob growled, but he was here to get paid. The space hippie shrugged and rummaged through the box at the back before pulling out a pink crystal, inlaid with some sort of wreaths and vines. Turning it, he handed it to Billy Bob. The frick is this? That's your payment. It gives you lifelong access to the space hippie planet, where you're free to share in our food and shelter. Billy Bob twitched a little, but Emily leaned behind him, whispering, Billy Bob, that space cat dog is incredibly rare and valuable. It's worth at least 1 million credits in the open market. More to the right buyer. My compatriot forgot something in the ship. I'll just stay here and share with your natural bounty. He turned, giving Emily a light push. And I'll see you back at the ship, Emily. Be right behind you. The diplomat was a bit confused, but after a moment she hesitated in turn and began to walk out of the colony. She was almost to the long horde when she heard shouting. Turning, she saw Billy Bob with the carnivore at his arm, running towards her with long bounding strides in the low gravity. "Emily, get on the ship. We've got to freaking boot it. The space hippies befriended some sort of rock creature. Go, go, go!" And so ends another chapter in the adventures of Billy Bob Space Trucker. I hope that you enjoyed. If you'd like to support the channel or the author, all the stuff is down below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next story. Cheers.